Douchebag. 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 Your head sucking. Douchebag.
I'm with Pierre Poilievre. Pierre is a member of Parliament for Nepean Carleton.
That's right.
Michael Kakaji and his 5 brothers and sisters were part of a national experiment in Canada, one designed to strip them and tens of thousands of other Native children of their culture, religion, and sense of community. Physical and sexual abuse were part and parcel of the children's daily lives. Kakaji says the woman who supervised his class when he was just 4 years old was evil.
She's another one that would fondle you sexually, your sexual organs and all that. And then I objected, and then when you objected or you did something she didn't like, she was the one that would put you in the scalding water, the tubs of hot water, and beat you.
Hard work and independence and self-reliance. That's the solution in the long run. More money will not solve it.
In all, more than 100,000 Native children across Canada were taken from their homes and forced to live at residential schools for 10 months each year. The Canadian government's policy was called aggressive assimilation, and the children who did not become white enough faced severe punishment.
Hard work and independence and self-reliance.
It was an historic day drenched in emotion.
We spent about a half an hour up in the Prime Minister's office, and kind of informal and everything else until we got back down to the floor. And when we walked into the floor and the doors opened, and I looked up in the gallery, and a lot of our people had tears in their eyes. So it's a very, very dramatic moment. Electrifying, really.
Decades of pain spilling onto the floor as the Prime Minister apologized to residential school survivors.
And asked the forgiveness of the Aboriginal peoples of this country for failing them so profoundly.
Only hours before this moment, Conservative MP Pierre Poilievre was anything but apologetic.
Along with this apology comes another $4 billion in compensation. Are we really getting value for all of this money? And is more money really going to solve the problem? And that gets to the heart of the problem on these reserves, where there's too much power concentrated in the hands of the leadership, and it makes you wonder where all of this money is going. My view is that we need to engender the values of hard work and independence and self-reliance. That's the solution in the long run. More money will not solve it.
Pierre Poilievre cast doubt on how Native leaders are using billions of dollars in federal funding. Aboriginal leaders say his remarks were a terrible mistake.
He looked in the mirror and saw Canada in his own image, which is so full of stereotypes. Yesterday's apology was all about casting those aside.
MPs are demanding Poilievre be demoted.
Will the Prime Minister stand by his words and remove his parliamentary secretary? The parliamentary secretary has apologized for remarks that were wrong.
Liberal Todd Russell, himself a Native, says Poilievre's comments leave questions about the sincerity of the Conservative caucus.
Many Conservatives were quite angry with what he had to say and the way he said it and the time he said it.
Well, I think, first of all, I think Mr. Poilievre, obviously, he's a tremendous young Canadian. He's a great young MP, works very hard.
Douchebag.
What surfaced in Mr. Poilievre's remarks is the old Reform Alliance racist attitude that this Conservative Party has been trying to run away from.
Well, Pierre sounded like the old redneck hillbillies that we used to make fun of back in the old days, when guys like Herb Grubel, for instance, said similar things in the House of Commons. Dave Chatters, things they used to say things like, Herb Grubel said, being an Indian on reserve is like being living on a South Sea island being supported by your rich uncle. You made a few headlines a little while ago for being rather overly partisan.
That's right.
In committee in the House of Commons.
My words were probably a little more colorful than they should have been. I find it funny that the reaction that was made to my words when so many other politicians have done similar things, maybe it has something to do with my age. I don't know. I don't apologize for that.
Look at that douchebag. 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 Douchebag.